The government on Tuesday tightened India's IT rules to crack down on the misuse of artificial intelligence on social media platforms such as YouTube and X, mandating takedown of unlawful content within 3 hours and compulsory labeling of all AI-generated or synthetic content. The amended rules, notified by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, respond to a surge in AI-driven deepfakes, non-consensual intimate imagery, and deceptive videos impersonating individuals or fabricating real-world events. The changes come into force on February 20th. Now, under the new framework, platforms must remove illegal content flagged by the government or courts within 3 hours, down from the earlier 36-hour deadline. For content involving nudity or sexually explicit content, the takedown timeline has been cut to just 2 hours. User grievance redressal timelines have also been shortened. Intermediaries or platforms like Facebook, Instagram, X or YouTube are also required to deploy automated tools to prevent the circulation of illegal, deceptive or sexually exploitative AI content. This includes child abuse, material impersonation, false documents and non-consensual imagery. Moreover, these platforms must require users to declare whether content is AI-generated and verify such declarations before publishing. The rules place accountability not only on platforms but also on AI tool providers such as ChatGPT, Grok and Gemini. Serious AI-related violations, including those involving child protection or criminal offences, must be reported to authorities. The amendments follow heightened security of generative AI after controversies around Elon Musk's own Grok, which was accused of enabling the creation of obscene and non-consensual images. Remember, earlier this year, MeitY directed X to remove unlawful content generated by the chatbot or face legal action. Now, failure to comply with the new due diligence requirements could result in platforms losing safe harbor protection under the Indian law. Joining us with more on the story is Nikhil Pahwa, founder Media Nama. Nikhil, good morning. Thank you so much for your time. A decisive step toward regulating explicit content online. Question number one, will it work?
I don't think it will work, Karthik. I'll be very honest. I think the ability to detect AI-generated content that is not disclosed is not there. It's not going to be 100% accurate. And the rules expect 100% accuracy here in terms of detection and removal. Like, what is the word reasonably able to detect? What does that mean? But just to dial this back, we've got here faster than we expected because AI proliferation in the country has happened faster than we expected, right? Because of ChatGPT Go being free for a whole year, Gemini being free for a whole year, with Jio, Airtel's partnership with Perplexity. So the diffusion of AI in the country has taken faster than most other countries because it's just there and it's free, right? So I think we've also seen this massive rise of non-consensual sexual imagery apps, including, just two photos into it and it will show them people kissing. Now, it might not matter in some parts of the country, but in some parts of the country, that is reputational damaging for someone, and it can be really, really harsh. So I understand the pressure that the government was under to come out with these rules, but these rules do not work because, they may have removed the earlier version said 10% of the image must have a display of saying that this is synthetically generated or it's AI generated.
Right.
That's perceivable. Now they've removed the 10% requirement because that was stupid to begin with, but they've said that there must be visibility. But think about what this does for, let's say, an AI generated advertisement for a product, right? It has realistically looking people. Cadbury's ran this fantastic ad with Shah Rukh Khan where there was a voiceover of saying, your store in your town, etc., go to them and buy this product from there, and retailers could customize it for them, for themselves, right?
Right.
That now requires, an audio and a video AI-generated disclaimer, which just breaks the ad. The Prime Minister spoken publicly in multiple languages with translation taking place in multiple languages, like wishing people happy Diwali. I remember one instance, right? So.
Right.
The Prime Minister's speech also have to carry a disclaimer because that is a synthetically generated audio. So I think they haven't really thought this through. They're trying to act first and think later.
Act first and think later. But 20th February is the deadline. Does it give platforms enough time to comply?
I don't think so. I think the tools to detect AI are just not there right now.
Okay.
And you can't speed this up. Someone will have to go to court to stop this, because every platform that generates AI content will probably, or rather publish that, that every social media platform will be in violation.
Okay. Sure.
Feb 20th is just not workable. I don't know what made you think. I think the 3-hour deadline is also not workable.
Right.
You can't expect, because if hundreds of thousands of AI generated content related complaints start coming in, because it's going to be that easy to create, uh, how will platforms take this down
All
at
right.
that pace?
Okay.
How do you
Nikhil,
know
also,
whether a complaint is legitimate or not?
right, of
And
course.
so
And,
there's
and
no
that too then
application
have a
of mind
3-hour
possible.
window, and of course platforms must take it down in 3 hours. What if the image, or what if there was consensus, and what if, it wasn't an AI generated image, but a user just happened to flag it?
Well, no, this is specifically for government orders. But then government will also be inundated with complaints, and they might need to act quickly. And in those instances, government won't be able to apply their mind, because complaints can come thick and fast.
Right.
So you're just basically going to start censoring first, deciding later almost. Someone will have to, try and get that content put back up. But Spotify, for example, is full of songs with auto-tune. It's full of AI-generated songs now. This kind of disclaimers just don't work. And I've been asking myself this question: do we care if something is AI-generated or not, if it is not harming anyone, right? But in this case, it doesn't differentiate between harmful and not harmful.
Right.
So if something's just created for entertainment, marking it as AI generated, or if it's not marked, for platforms to take it down. This also, by the way, applies to content globally, not just to India.
Right.
So I don't think anyone in the US who's going to be creating content is going to mark it as AI generated before putting it on Twitter or X or on Instagram. Then what do you do?
All right. Also, talk to us about the technical detail in that order, which says that platforms may use the safe harbor advantage. What is the safe harbor advantage which platforms enjoy right now, which they tend to lose if they fail to comply?
Look, the safe harbor advantage is that if I'm a user and I'm using the internet, the platform that I'm using is not responsible for what I do with it. It's like a shopkeeper who sells knives is not responsible for whether you use it to cut vegetables or kill someone, right? It's as simple as that.
Okay.
You can't hold the shopkeeper accountable in the same way you can't hold a platform accountable for what people use it for. Now, the government is saying that if the platforms do not comply with these takedown requirements, they lose that safe harbor advantage. There's nothing that the government is doing for the platforms. This is just saying, if you don't do this, you will be liable for this content.
Right.
And so this is a threat, and it's a sword hanging on top of the platform's heads, saying that they could be held liable for that piece of content that goes up if they don't act, which means you have to act.
Right.
You can't apply your own mind. You can't use your own decision making, whether this is legitimate or not. You just have to act. So this is basically a government diktat has to be followed, even if the diktat might be illegal. In the past, there are people who've gone to court challenging the government diktat.
Right.
There is no scope for it anymore. So this basically, to my mind, needs to go to court.
All
because
right.
it doesn't work.
It might just end up in court. But talk to me also about government priorities. And do you think this was the top priority for the government at a time when the world is actually talking about banning social media for underage children, like Australia, Spain, potentially even France? Do you think this could eventually lead to that social media ban for underage, or should that have been made priority, and perhaps, a takedown order like this could have been delayed for later?
See, the underage access for underage children to social media is a different issue to tackle, simply because that issue is coming out of dopamine addiction and risk of grooming of children.
Right.
Right now, a child who's 13 years old starts gaining agency over a period of time from 13 to 18. They learn to take more decisions for themselves. They learn not to rely on their parents for many of the decisions. Parents also give them more agency. It's how people grow up.
Right.
If discovering things, acting on social media is a part of that. The problem with social media is that it is creating dopamine addiction. It's basically making children more fragile mentally, in that sense. That's why mental health is such a crisis. It is constantly shoving small pieces of short form content at them, which basically then means that they don't have long-term attention spans, which hampers their careers. They expect instant gratification. So these are problems which are separate from the deepfake issue. And these are problems that are coming out of how the algorithms function. So instead of regulating the algorithms, we are harming the children, saying, you don't come onto the platform.
Right.
I think that's a wrong approach. The algorithms need to be regulated, not the children here.
All right, the regulation on algorithms and not children. But of course, let's see, if this 20th February deadline holds and if this 3-hour window can be complied with. And like Nikhil, you were saying, perhaps there could be some litigation also going forward on this. We will keep tracking that story. But thank you so much for your time this morning.